All right. Welcome to Coffee with Marcus and Mark, the number one stock market show on Spotify and one of the most popular market updates on YouTube. In this show, we talk about what's happening in the markets and how we're trading them. Now, today is Tuesday, June 20th. The NASDAQ finished with its best weekly win streak since 2019. Stocks kicking off the short trading week with losses. Traders disagreeing with the Fed again. Fed Chair Powell and his testimonies in the spotlight this week. Plus, crude oil is down 2.5%. We're going to take a look at and see what opportunities popped up on our PowerX Wheel Scanner today, in addition to looking at the markets and reviewing those highlights. As you can see, there's a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, this is your first time here. My name is Mark Hodge. I'm head coach at Rockwell Trading, and I know that the show is called Coffee with Marcus and Mark, and that is because Marcus is typically with me, who is Rockwell Trading's founder, but he's on a bit of a road trip with his daughter. I'm filling in for him solo, although he might pop in from time to time when he's at a location that is conducive to doing updates and being on video. But even though I'm alone, I promise that you're in good hands. You could say that we have a ton of trading experience. We know our stuff, and we're not afraid to tell it like it is. So if you're looking for some honest insight into the world of trading, then you've come to the right place. Now, before we dive in and show you our trades and how we're tackling these crazy markets, let's take a look at what's moving the markets today. And let's do this view instead. There we go. There we go. Big screen of the S&P 500. And let's actually go to a weekly chart first. So last week, look at this run for the S&P 500. We see here 5 consecutive winning weeks, and last week just a stellar week for the S&P. We got through 4,300, got through 4,400, getting our way up towards 4,500, finishing the week up 2.6%. The NASDAQ was also a big winner. NASDAQ on an 8-week win streak, the best since 2019. The NASDAQ finishing the week up 3.25%. Just a really strong rally for the NASDAQ, getting up near 14,000. The Dow also higher, although not as enthusiastic with this move, up 1.25%, finishing with its third consecutive week higher. So wrapped up the week positive. We were heading into a 3-day holiday trading weekend, with yesterday the markets being closed for a federal holiday, Juneteenth, and today we're down a little bit. We actually were down a little bit on Friday, so looked like we were seeing a little profit taking going into the weekend, a little bit of a dip that seemed to accelerate towards the end of the day. And then today things just kind of continued with that move lower. Right now the S&P down 0.7%, the Dow leading the way down 0.8%, although early on we were seeing the NASDAQ actually positive and the Dow down. Now everything kind of moving together, down 0.7% for the session. So, a decent move here. This did present us with some opportunities to consider today. We'll take a look at that. But let's go over to PowerX Optimizer and check out this heat map. Just see what the overall market's doing. And you see that there's a lot of red. So it's a broad market sell-off, a little bit of a pullback, not a huge move. I would say 1% plus is when it starts to accelerate a little bit and be a little bit of a bigger deal. We're close, but not so much the case, even though we see a lot of red. There is some green here. We see that Tesla's higher, up 1.2%. Eli Lilly up 1.4%, Merck up 0.7%, UNH up 1.25%, even PayPal's higher, up almost 2.5%. So a little bit of green, mostly red for the day. Looks like we're just getting this broad-based sell-off, and we'll see if it continues. Now, last week was all about the Fed, and this week we are also going to have the Fed poking their head out, and our different members sharing their thoughts, opinions, and a couple of testimonies on Capitol Hill as well. But let's take a look at CME Fed Fund futures first. Let me go ahead and refresh, because last week the big story was the Fed ending their rate hike campaign at 10 consecutive hikes in a row. So they paused, no hike at the last meeting, which wrapped up on Wednesday. But the Fed expects two more hikes, or at least a half point higher here. And if we look at Fed fund futures and probabilities from the CME group, we see that right now at the next meeting in July, 72% chance the Fed will raise. So this is kind of priced into the market at this point and to be expected. Let's look at probabilities though, and we see that based on probabilities, traders are expecting that the Fed will pause and stay at that level. So traders once again a little more optimistic on rates and not thinking that the Fed's going to do what it has implied, and keeping rates instead the same after one more hike for the remainder of the year before a pullback or a decrease in January. So we'll see who's right here, traders and investors or the Fed. That was the big news last week. Really, the Fed saying, hey, we're done pausing, but we could see another half point. Traders saying, no, not so fast. We don't really think that's the case. Maybe calling your bluff. Maybe that's what the Fed wanted to do, or maybe it was just some indecision with the group. But I think that they really just want to continue to be focused on data and preparing investors for more hikes if needed. Although I still think they're going to pause and this will be the end for now, or maybe we get a quarter point. But I think that when we have more data being released, we're going to see that it makes sense to just kind of pause and wait and see rather than continue to raise. But hey, anything can happen. What do I know? When it comes to the Fed, you never know what's going to happen. What I do know is that based on probabilities, and that's what I like to focus on, traders are saying, hey, quarter point hike and no more. We'll see if that remains true. Now, speaking of the Fed, let's go ahead and take a look at the economic calendar, because this week, 8:45 a.m., we had Fed member Williams speaking. You'll see here a red flag report. This is all Pacific time. We see that the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, is testifying tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. We also have a few other Fed members. So 8:40 a.m., Fed member Goolsbee. And then on Thursday, Fed member Waller, early in the morning. So probably something overseas. And then we have on Thursday unemployment claims and Fed Chair Jerome Powell again testifying at 10 a.m. So this is, I believe, a semi-annual report and testimony in front of the House and Congress, or House and Senate. And this is this could move the market. I mean, it's a red flag report. So if he shares any more information, more details, anything conflicting with what was released, or even adding to it and being a little more extreme, or dovish, right? A little more calm and peaceful and accommodating for the market, then the markets can definitely move. So something to keep an eye on tomorrow and also Thursday. Friday, we have flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI. This being released 15 minutes after the bell. Once again, this is Pacific time, so 9:45 Eastern. But I think the real focus is going to be on all of the Fed members sharing their thoughts, opinions, and also testimony this week based on what we had take place last week. For now, down a little bit, Dow leading the way, a little bit of a pullback. Let's look at some movers here. And let's look at Palantir. PLTR is a ticker. Now, this is just a stock that was beaten up last year. And we see here coming off of these really impressive gains in 2021 after IPOing, pulling back here, going sideways for a while. And with the AI push and enthusiasm, almost doubling, actually doubling. Well, Raymond James has downgraded PLTR. They say that while we remain enthusiastic about Palantir's positioning in AI, we are downgrading our rating to outperform firm strong buy, as shares have ascended at a $12 billion market cap and appreciated almost 60% since its early May first quarter print and launch of its AI platform. So getting a lot of love from traders with this huge rally here. Not really putting a huge dent in this one, down 3.3%. But if we look at this move, it's all relative and it's minor and really just kind of a participation in the overall market from what I see. So a little bit of a downgrade, or actually a downgrade, not a little bit of a downgrade, but a little bit of a move lower when we look at the big picture here and how much this has moved. Some other news. This is interesting because this is actually an over-the-counter stock for the US. It's EADSY, Airbus. And we see here Airbus up a little bit under 1%. So not as big as I initially had thought, but they received the biggest deal or order in civil aviation history yesterday, with an order for 500 narrow-body jets from Indian budget carrier Indigo. So this is just huge. The planes will be delivered from 2030 to 2035. So Airbus doing doing okay there after that news, with the overall market down. We could take a look at Boeing, right? So Boeing and Airbus are competitors. Boeing down 3% for the day. Maybe a little of that because of the news for Airbus. Also, participation in the overall market dip. Another one moving, SPCE. So look at this, bucking the trend with stocks being lower, up 15.5% today. So on Friday, this was a big move or big gap up, still ended up the day 16.5% higher, even though there was a huge reversal during the day. On Friday, this move was fueled by news that the company is preparing its first commercial space flight. Richard Branson's company announced its first flight, dubbed Galactic 01, and is scheduled between June 27th and June 30th. The private space flights are going to cost $450,000 a ticket, and traders still liking this news, up 15%, trading at 544. Nowhere near where it was trading when there was all of the hype about commercial space flights and commercial space tourism, getting up to, what's that, almost $60, actually traded above $60 a share in 2021, getting beaten up and finding a little bit of a range between $3 and $6. Huge range there for sure. But 544, up 15% today. So what are we doing in these crazy markets? Well, let's move on over to PowerX Optimizer, look at the wheel analyzer. And today is all about oil and gas. So if we look at oil and gas, we can take a look at a few here. We could look at Suncor. So with oil and gas down, Suncor was dropping 29.25 right now, down, what's that? Almost 3%. Now, this one had the 28.50 strike showing. So this was something to consider. I like a little bit of a lower strike here, 28 or lower. I recently traded the 27.50 markets, traded the 28. So I'd be a little closer to this support, our lowest close indicator, ideally for a strike that I would be interested in trading, but that would be one that popped up. We also had DVN, Devon Energy. This is another one. 46.50 is a strike that popped up on the scanner. That gives you 33% annualized for this week's expiration. 47 strike, a little tight there. This gives you 52%. Maybe the 46 or lower, if possible, would be something to consider. And one nice thing, we're always making little updates to PowerX Optimizer, and the things that we really like to focus on when we're analyzing a company, is it a stock that we want to own, right? And bottom line, like let's take a look at Chewy. I know I'm going to get some Chewy haters here because Chewy, or people hating me because of what I'm saying about Chewy. Some people are just super loyal with Chewy. And when this was trading back here, we talked about this in our mastermind group. all of 2021 and 2022. I just don't want to own Chewy. I do they have a competitive edge? They do have loyal customers. I'll give you that because when I mentioned my concerns about Chewy, I there was some backlash. Hey, Chewy's been great to me. Actually, I heard that when their pet passed away, they send their condolences, and so there's some loyalty there. But when I first purchased from Chewy for the very first time, I got a coupon, thought I'd try it out. I put in this order, and then I realized that on Amazon, I would be getting dog food cheaper for my 115-pound chocolate lab on Amazon delivered quicker than Chewy. And so I thought, what's the big deal? That was with a coupon and it can compete with Amazon. So I always wondered if there really was an edge there for Chewy versus just ordering on Amazon. Anyway, nonetheless, if we look at this here, the things that we like to look at are, what is a PE ratio? 283. That's huge. That's huge. So this is still in growth mode rather than value mode. They are not reimbursing or supporting their shareholders by sharing profits and paying a dividend. That's because of the high PE ratio. But here we could also look at the income statement here. So the income statement, this is where we could get this information in other places, but we like making the software a one-stop shop. So everything that we need here. We see very slim profit margins compared to revenue versus net income, but profitable the last 5 quarters. If we look at yearly though, negative 2019, negative 2020, negative 2021, negative 2022, positive 2023. So they might have turned the corner and they might be profitable now this year. But 4 out of the last 5 years, they lost money. Their net income was negative. Even though they're seeing increased revenue, this to me is just not, from a fundamental perspective, a stock that I want to trade, let alone just with my own experience, right? I want to be comfortable owning shares of the company. If I do get in this position and I'm in it longer than I expect, I want to make sure that it's actually a company that I feel comfortable holding. And so Chewy is not it, but my point here is that we're always making little changes. We've now introduced this income statement just to make it as easy as possible to quickly analyze opportunities that pop up. So today, I think there were quite a few oil and gas companies to be considered. And hey, no spoiler alert, but I'll share with you the stock that Marcus and I traded, or the stock that we sold puts on in tomorrow's video. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Like the channel, like the video, subscribe if you are new to the channel so you could get updated when we do new videos. And I will be back here tomorrow. Until then, happy trading, everybody.